listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I am your host, AJ Walsh, and I'm not alone today. But first off, we just want to let you know you're listening to us. If you are listening to us, you're listening on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca. Also, if you download the Radio Player Canada app, you're listening to us anywhere, any time on your favorite device, so you're listening to us now if you've done that. Also Facebook Live, YouTube Live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, the same thing on youtube.com/Sudbury News. And welcome all of you. Thanks for being part of this show for the time that you've been with us. You've been a great addition to our show, so continue to comment as you want to, because you are part of the show and you keep us on the up and up, and you contribute in a huge way. And we've now gone over the 3,000 and we're on our way to 4,000 followers thanks to you. So continue to like and share the videos. We really appreciate that. And so without further ado, I'm joined in the studio in the hot seat. Dave is here with us, so thanks for being with us this morning. And we also have a Nick. So,
woohoo!
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, because I know you guys are both very busy, and this is something that I think you're doing quasi as a favor. So I really do appreciate that, and I know the people watching and listening appreciate that as well, because your comments and you just being on the show. I know that I get a lot of comments from people saying, hey, you need these guests on more often. And believe me, I try to do my best to have them on as often as possible. So the pay isn't the most in the world. So that's the only thing. So let's get kicked off with some weather, get it out of the way, and then we'll get into our headlines, and we'll just get right into the show. Lots of really cool stuff to talk about. The main headline is, spoiler alert, the KED is dead. But we'll be right back after this. So it's currently 14 degrees. Humidity, 73%. That means it's relatively high. So later today, a mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of showers early this morning. Late this afternoon, wind becoming northeast 20 kilometers. Late this morning, high of 20 degrees. UV index is 7 or high. And then tonight, partly cloudy, 30% chance of showers. Early this evening, clearing overnight, low of 12. And then Thursday is sunny, becoming a mix of sun and cloud. In the morning, high of 24. UV index will be 26. So you know what? Very comfortable summer so far. I'm very thankful for what we've had thus far. Now, this is the interesting thing. Earlier this week, the whole forecast was calling for rain, and now it looks a lot different. So tomorrow, 24 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. Friday, totally sunny, according to this icon, and then Saturday the same, totally sunny, high of 27 on Saturday, and then for the foreseeable future, it looks pretty darn nice. So we can only be thankful for good weather, and we'll be back right after this with some headlines and a lot of talk. As promised, we're going to be talking a lot today on a lot of things, including the KED is dead. And that's one of the headlines. So I know, Dave, you've been looking over the headlines this morning. So what are some of the other things we'll be talking about? Because I think we might want to delve into that a little bit later after some of the other ones. We were talking about the water park a little bit.
Yeah,
have you looked into that?
The water park and the inquiry of the protests. And
yeah.
The water park?
Yeah, there's a water park in the city. Did you know that?
Like a splash pad?
No,
it's pretty big. Yeah,
it's like one of those bouncy water parks.
Oh, yes.
Inflatable.
Yes, I did hear about this.
Ramsey Lake.
It's on Ramsey Lake?
Yeah, and they had it on Vermilion River as well. They had
Okay,
one.
last year, that's
Yes.
where it was.
Yeah. So similar one. They have that on Lake Ramsey now. You can go down and enjoy it with your fam. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. I guess it's getting more popular. One of the controversial things, though, was I think there was a Sudbury group that was from Sudbury that bid to have their bouncy water park there, but they chose to have more of a franchised national one kind of come in. So
it was someone local?
that got turned down, even though they had everything.
This is kind of a trend. No, I'm
Trend?
French.
A
A
trend?
trend
Yes.
that the city of Sudbury is doing is allowing outsiders to come and bid on
Oh, okay.
projects.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I'm hearing a lot of this.
Yeah, well, that's I think what happened.
I'm pretty sure the people building the library are from out of town.
Yeah,
It's Toronto.
the new library that they just city council just voted on, coming downtown.
Yep.
$100 million price tag on that one, I think. So out of towners, will be coming in to build. I guess we don't have enough in towners to build projects of that size, I would think.
There's people
It's
that
one of
bid.
the- Oh, okay.
There's lots of people that bid.
Well, I think one of the controversial things on the KED too is that the contract was going to go to a local establishment, but it just happened to be the owner of the Wolves and the Five and the land, and it was Dario Zulich, right? So people would say, well, how can he get all of those perks and whatever
True.
to do everything? But
Yeah, it was going to be a team effort, I think.
Yeah.
One out of town.
Ball Construction
yeah.
was going to join with Tesk if the KED was going to go forward. So good morning, Lees. Hope you're doing well this morning. Oh, yeah, Nick is responding on Facebook, which is, see, Nick, I would never be able to. Well, I can't even reach the computer that I'd have to respond on.
I'm watching on my phone.
Awesome. Cool. I apologize for the way it is. I don't mean to be bigger than everyone else. It's just this template that I have. The 3 is not available in order to put us all, the same side by
How
each.
dare you.
I know. I just had to get that out of the way because the Nick's going, why is Aaron bigger than me?
Yeah, Nick's on top of me, so that's not good.
And Nick's gonna stomp on Dave's head. So keep your comments coming in. Yes. Good morning, Julia. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. So water park, yeah. So that's a new thing for Sudbury. I know. Remember the Chelmsford one that was almost built? Like they even had the big water slide all ready to go, and then
They shut it down.
you shut it down and whatever. So
Seems like the city just shut down fun. People are trying to do fun and good things, and then the city's just like, no, we're not going to do anything fun. We're going to build $100 million libraries in the parking lot that we don't have.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's because liability issues. I have a friend who works in the insurance industry and does work with the city. And
Blah, blah, blah.
I know. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Is
I think it's because it wasn't someone that they knew that is building it, and they're not getting a cut of it or something.
okay. Well, you know what? I'm open to that because that has
Many
definitely happened.
possibilities, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. That definitely happens around
Here.
many cities, and
Yes, many cities.
we are a city, so
Yes.
it could happen here. The also, so Sudbury.com has a really good feature each and every day. It's called Good Morning Sudbury kind of thing, and it's stories to start your day. And currently they're talking about gas prices are jumping back up.
Oh,
So that was 4 minutes ago. The hike is about 7 cents per liter. So we're now up to about the 198 per liter.
that's still a
market
deal,
rate.
guys. That's still a deal. Isn't that crazy that we're talking about that's a deal because it's less than $2?
Or
yeah.
220.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go fill up then because I'm on empty. I drove here on empty.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you, and it's sad.
So sad.
Today is Wednesday, and isn't it usually the Tuesdays that were the hike for the longest time on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
So I guess, what are they switching to Wednesdays all of a sudden? I don't know.
It might have came in yesterday, and they just reported on it now.
So yeah, gas prices are up, unfortunately, in the Sudbury area. If you want to drive to Sturgeon Falls, you might still be able to get a bit of a deal. The headlines on Sudbury.com's morning headlines of the day, basically, the KED is dead. Now, I don't know if, Dave, you originally coined that phrase. Someone on this show did, though. And was it Zach? I forget. But I remember I never heard it in media before. Will the KED be dead? And But anyways, that's their headline. The KED is dead.
So she's dead.
City Council unanimously votes in rejecting the $215 million bid.
I wonder, our viewers, if you're watching this or even watching the replay, if they are pro KED or, are they would they want the KED to happen, or are they pro downtown? I'm just wondering what people who are watching this, if it should be dead. Should KED be dead or should it not?
Yeah, it's we're going to be really getting into that one today. It's going to be a huge, part of our show, obviously, because there's a lot of stuff going on there. And are you kind of looking at the comments here, Nick? Kind of as they go. Okay, good. Because I'm just going to do my best to get them up on the screen. My eyesight isn't the greatest, so I have to really.
Louise Moreau says anything that can progress the city gets shut down.
Kind of looking at the comments here, Nick. Kind of as we go. Okay, good. There, maybe Dave probably
Dave's trying to listen.
Won't be our Facebook monitor this morning. It's okay. But I'm not
the only one feeling that way about the city.
No.
Even building, we have a problem. There's no rental units around here, and it's just almost impossible for new project builders to. It
is. Yep. So another story we'll just kind of mention, and then we'll come back to the KED, because that's, again, something that, we could just end up talking the whole show about, is the Greater Sudbury Police. I don't know if you've seen this in the news, Nick or Dave, a racist incident in Sudbury under investigation.
You know what? I saw it on Instagram.
Exactly. I've seen it and I'm like, wow, this is really kind of coming up a lot. It's getting a lot of traction. So I'll just kind of read this real quick and get out of the way. Greater Sudbury Police are investigating a racist incident that occurred in Sudbury over the weekend, one that was caught on video and circulated on social media. Is that the one that you saw? Was it a video?
Sorry, no, I just saw someone posting about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw someone post a picture and basically saying,
the info?
Well, just saying that this person, did a racist action or whatnot, and, just sort of trying to make, people aware of the person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
what happened?
Well, the video is available on Sudbury.com if you just click on their Good Morning Stories kind of thing. The only reason I'm not going to share it here, because it says there's a content warning. Viewer discretion be advised. I never saw it, so I don't want to play it just in case there's something that I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have played that. But it says content warning for racism, hatred, heated arguing, and possible violence. The incident took place at what appears to be, from the video, to be a convenience store. A police spokesperson said and confirmed the establishment is located on LaSalle. Call came in about 9 p.m. on July the 9th regarding an assault, quote, after the fact. Information provided was that two individuals had been in a verbal argument where a man made racial slurs toward another customer, resulting in a physical altercation between the two individuals outside of the store. In an original Instagram post, there you go, by the victim, now removed, the woman said that she had stopped at the gas station near her home around 10:30. When I entered the store, I already heard yelling. I knew something wasn't right, she wrote. The man paying for his stuff was being complete blah, 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 beep, beep to the worker. He kept going at it, and I kindly asked him to stop. So again, if you are interested in the particulars of that, you can go on Sudbury.com, see the video and see it for yourself. And I encourage people to do that, because we could just be going all off on how racism is rampant in Sudbury now and all this stuff. And really the video might not have, been as bad, or vice versa. It may be really totally like out of place, inappropriate and wrong. And you can just go there and watch it and make your own, that's the way to do it.
There's no place for violence, regardless if it's racism or not racism. And there's no place for violence. And these days, everyone's just really stressed out. So, you know, I feel like there's sometimes a negative bug happening, and it's really easy for these type of situations to happen, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And we could throw a word, and then it changes the whole feeling of that situation. You know?
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's unfortunate.
I think you got to work to be patient, right? And work to not, have a short fuse. It's like it's an effort, and we're all feeling the effects of what we just went through for the last 2 years, and they're still going through. And here's another thing that adds to this. Here's a headline: Public Health Sudbury reports a local person has monkeypox. Yeah, and it's a nick.
Stay 6 feet away from me, guys.
No, I'm just kidding. My wife says when you're kidding, Aaron, you have that straight face. You have to say you're kidding, or else people may think you're serious. So I'm kidding. And Nick, as far as I know, doesn't have monkeypox.
I do not have monkeypox.
Yeah.
Monkeypox.
The real honest truth is that I don't know for a fact.
It's true. I could have it, and we don't know.
Yeah. So let's hope she doesn't. And Sudbury has its first case of monkeypox. Sudbury Public Health, Sudbury and Districts, the PHSD, said it has received notification confirming there is a case of a person infected with monkeypox in this area.
And that's unfortunate, too, because now that's like fear-based, too, because that's what the news shares a lot of, is all the negative things, and everyone's now going to be really terrified of getting monkeypox.
Well, that's what made me think of this, because you said, you know what I mean? Like all the stuff going on. And I pictured someone reading this on their way to work, and now they're like totally stressed.
Oh, no. Maybe I'm going to get monkeypox.
And then anything else they encounter that day that pushes a button or, it requires some kind of...
Because if your nerves are already shot, if you're already kind of in a negative bubble, you're not going to really attract anything positive. Yeah. You may attract... You might get... angry driving, or you may say something that you don't necessarily mean.
Well, exactly, because this, I don't know, how much do we really know about monkeypox to begin with? Like,
isn't it like chicken pox, but it came from a monkey?
Yeah.
Did chicken pox come from chickens?
Smallpox or something.
It comes from smallpox?
It's like I think it's a version of that.
Okay.
I studied it a little while back, but it's not.
Well, at least it's not big pox.
No.
That'd be worse.
That's right. That's the one to avoid.
That's
a serious issue. I think there's a lot of people that, like you said, are living in fear, and I think we need to, like you said, have a positive mindset.
Yeah.
And just realize that being sick is a natural thing. We get sick at times. Our bodies have immune systems, and they can learn to fight these things. And I'm not going to live
and we
in
shot
fear.
that for 2 years. No one was sick. No one was sick, and now I feel like more people are sick in the summer, like with a cold or the flu or,
Well, I know, at work, it was like they were talking about how their relatives or friends or whatever, a sore throat, and they had a sore throat, and they had a little bit of sniffles, and I was thinking, before 2 years ago, that they'd be going, why am I saying this?
And they'd be forcing you to go to work. Now people are like, why are you here?
Oh, I know.
You weren't even allowed to take a day off when you were sick. And I'm like, I'm really sick. And your boss like, you still need to show up to work.
I'm almost the only one in the office. It's like, I tested positive, or my mom tested positive, or my brother tested positive.
I went to the store, and there's a lady there that tested positive. Oh, you better not come into work for 5 days.
Well, that's what I mean.
Gotten a little ridiculous a bit.
To me, you should almost sign something to say I'm fine if someone tested positive and I'm around them, and then it's okay. You know what I mean? So each individual area can do their own
it's very
but
polarizing, the whole subject, different perspectives and stuff. So it's a tough one because, you can have your attitude, but other people, are just like way on the other side
it's
of
true.
the spectrum of the...
Yeah, and you want to respect that too. You want to respect if you definitely want to take precautions and you are truly, trying to avoid the idea of any of this, then I respect that. And but again,
precautions are always good too. Like I feel like more people are more conscious and they wash their hands. Better.
What's wrong with that? Washing your hands.
That's a really good thing.
Just don't use antibacterial soap though. I would just go ahead and say that. You know why?
Why?
Because bacteria is actually good.
Yeah, just use regular soap.
That's what I mean. Just use soap. Like don't go way over the board, because then you're more susceptible. You're trying to kill all bacteria. You're going to kill good bacteria too.
And that's what's
there
happening.
Is good bacteria out there. Anyways.
Yeah, there's different opinions on that too. So yeah, it's just like crazy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, you say
like
a statement.
This is where we're having this freedom convoy. So I think fundamentally that's what we want is freedom. You know, like you said, you know, it's okay for someone else to look at it. Yeah, and freedom to not put something in your body. Or, you know what I mean? Like
or use whatever soap you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's something that I think we're into telling people what to do a little more than I think suggestions, recommendations. I just don't see it as this, one thing fits all type of thing.
Yeah, so speaking of that, there's a public hearing on the Freedom Convoy occupation that reveals a split in perception of the protest. Is that a surprise to any of you, that there's a split in perception of the protests that were in February?
No, definitely not. I was speaking to someone who I was asking their opinion about the convoy and what was going on around the world, and this person said, I didn't really understand, or I was kind of going with everything. And then I went to the convoy and experienced the convoy, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to make the news for sure. Like, this is awesome. So many people are together. They want the choice to choose. And then he's like, I watched the news and it was completely the opposite message of what I was experiencing. And that is what opened up his eyes of the possible propaganda that could be happening on a level. So it depends what you're watching. It depends what type of perspective you're hearing. It depends who you're listening to and what you're watching.
Yeah.
Because if you're not actually experiencing it, and you're not it's kind of like the telephone game. Do we really know what's really happening unless you actually go on that situation, the racist, if someone else was there, maybe they would have perceived it a bit different or worse.
And that's why I like what they're doing here. They're doing they're surveying the citizens of Ottawa who actually experienced it and trying to see, okay, from their perspective, what is it? And they're actually talking to people, which I give them a lot of credit for that. But it's interesting how it's divided. It's almost 50-50.
Wow.
Yeah,
the negative and the positives.
12 speak, 6 were against, 5, 4, and 1 was looked at as neutral.
Yeah,
right.
One was like, it did have a negative impact, but you know what? I'm like, that's what a protest is, the person said.
Yeah.
Like, you got to disrupt things or else no one's going to listen to you.
Again, I think we spoke about it before, how does the prime minister that serves the people not speak with these people? I think that inflated it a bit, or made it a little bit more contentious than it needed to be.
It's true.
But
I have a question.
Yep.
Who's interviewing these people and who is creating this?
Yeah, so the person that's put in charge of this, her name, so City of Ottawa Auditor General Natalie Guzzo is reviewing the responses of the city and Ottawa City Police to the Freedom Convoy protest.
Okay, so here's the thing. Is she interviewing people that experienced it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
people
went there.
People that lived in Ottawa.
And then because I don't trust the news, because I've heard so many lies, and one little lie, it's like, why are you just lying about that little thing? So I feel like she could have interviewed 50 people, and most of them said, I think it was a great thing, and then she just found 6. You know what I mean?
No,
it's
for sure.
It's so easy to manipulate news.
And that's why I got a positive kind of, feeling about this particular article and what's going on kind of thing, because I think it's telling of what is really going on. So the article says the disparity in experiences shared showcased how polarizing the protests have become.
So that was the message.
What kind of thing, right?
Cool.
That there's people on both sides. So to supporters, the protesters were, quote, the most peaceful Canadian citizens ever to gather downtown, end of quote. Meanwhile, residents haunted by the sound of horns and the smell of diesel in their neighborhoods described them as, quote, white nationalists, unquote. And they felt terrorized. So that's the polarization. So I'm glad they used the white nationalist thing, and then the other side, the most peaceful Canadians that ever existed. So you have the most peaceful that ever existed, and then you have white nationalist terrorists kind of on the other side. That's how polarizing. So
polarizing.
How can it be that polarizing to me? Like, if you really think of it, if it's one side, how could the other side view it as that extreme?
That's it to me. If you're living right above that and listening to these horns and all this.
Oh,
I can see how that would be quite disturbing
but
and
they did stop at a certain time. Like when they were asked, they did stop. They were very. I feel like they were listening. But so Lee says people have rights to choose. However, they had no business in downtown Ottawa to disrupt other people's lives for as long as they did. Take it on the outskirts if they wanted to protest. Just my thought.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think, like I said, actions by the Prime Minister and not speaking with these people
might have accelerated things.
Well, he could have talked to them day 3 and it would have ended day 5.
So, like I said, who's accountable for that? I'm sure both sides have some accountability, but to me, that's a big part of it. Like, you don't not talk to your citizens, and stand up and say something that's just not factual. Like, there was a police officer that spoke, and this former police officer, and he said, I've been to worse Canadian,
on Canada Day.
Yeah, on Canada Day. Yeah. So it's like, these people were not anywhere near the way they were
during a hockey game. I don't know, guys. In Montreal, people are flipping cars. I don't hear people calling people white nationalists.
Yeah,
that's it.
They're just angry Habs fans.
Yeah, just angry Habs fans. And that's okay. Everyone's like, oh, that's cool.
It's hockey.
Yeah, it's hockey.
It's heated.
But people have lost their rights, lost their jobs. Couldn't travel, but you know what? You should just shut your mouth and go with it. It's just so weird
how that sound like it was like a handful of people here. Like once you get that many of your citizens, like you've got to step up and talk to them and but I think basically it's something that we're the hearing's good. We're going to hear some different perspectives, but you're never going to convince everybody to see it the same way.
And there's a comment here about
hopefully we learn from it.
Some of the protesters down there did kind of you saw some Trump flags and you saw some Make America Great, and so there was a movement in the United States. Surprise, surprise, we're all familiar with that, about Trump being the kind of poster child of like what America should have represented or did represent, or the greatest part of America. The idea of humble apple pie, ice cream, the American dream, that old kind of thing. And so freedom is a huge part of the whole intertwined in the DNA of America, the United States. And so there was a big movement because there are a lot of movements out there that are everything just chipping away a little bit at people's rights, really, and people's freedom, one of them being freedom of speech. And other freedoms. And it just is, if you follow politics, as I do, it is chipping away. And there's people who are standing up against that. Now, whether or not Trump is the greatest representative of something like that, people, got behind it. And so you did see Canadians saying, hey, we also see our freedoms being chipped away at. And so Trump was already an iconic kind of poster child of that, and so you had that movement linking.
But just because there was a couple Trump supporters doesn't generalize the whole movement. There's that one Nazi flag. And actually, someone told me the story that the guy who had the flag was pretty much just saying, this is what happened in Germany. It was kind of like symbolism.
Yeah. And then there was the General Lee, whatever is it called, the Southern flag there.
To me... Yeah.
What's it called again?
How easy it is.
Confederate
flag.
How easy is it to go and disrupt a movement?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, if I'm against the movement,
show up.
Find a half a dozen guys, do a few things. So, percentage-wise, it was from what I can tell,
less than 1%.
You know what I mean? So, that's something.
So, if there's 100,000 protesters and one guy there with a Confederate flag, and then that's all the news covered that day.
They're all terrorists.
Like, how can you really say that? And I saw a video of a guy kind of saying to the guy with the Confederate flag, hey, what's your name?
Yeah, I think
just tell us your name. And he wouldn't talk.
Yeah, like a face covering.
Big covering on his face, wouldn't show his identity. Walked away sheepishly.
But
so
can we talk?
Aware of that.
What is a terrorist?
Yeah, I know.
What is a terrorist?
What's a Nazi? We throw around these terms all the time too, right? Terrorist.
I think a lady, I don't remember exactly, but she felt terrorized because of the honking and
terrorized,
didn't feel like she
terrorist.
So you can feel terrorized when it's not really.
But that's not a terrorist.
No.
Well, again,
by definition, it's not. No.
It's like the whole definition subject. Things are defined differently.
I felt terrorized when I was stuck in my house.
That's right.
I'm an extrovert. I need to go see people and hug people, and that was traumatizing.
Well, it's traumatizing. You can't leave your own country, or you can't. There's all kinds of things that I could feel terrorized about too. So.
Yeah. And Miles does chime in saying that in Canada, we are different than the States. So the whole freedom of speech thing in the States is, in Canada, it's freedom of expression. And we don't have, and that in and of itself gives us less freedom by law than the United States. And so we already start with less. And if it starts getting taken away, it's like if you have $5 and someone takes $1, it's different than if you have $20 and someone takes $1.
And they're never going to give you your dollar back.
You're not getting your
Once they
dollar
take
back.
it away, they never give it back.
That's history. We know that.
Yeah.
History repeats itself. And so, again, these are, I'm sure the people of Ottawa, like they were inconvenienced. So if let's say I was living downtown, and even if I was for the movement or the convoy and I had to get to the grocery store and all these people are from, I would be like, holy man,
but
I'm inconvenienced.
A lot of them
here.
spoke about it, how she was a single woman and she was not terrified every single time she had to walk through there. And she was talking about it and she's like, I was not afraid one time.
Yeah.
And it's a choice too. Like you're living there,
downtown
can
in front
happen.
of the government buildings.
If you're not going to be ready to deal with that, then obviously it's time to make it.
And again, they just went there because they didn't want to speak to the prime minister.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they just wanted a meeting.
It's just
they wouldn't even have gone there.
ridiculous.
They wouldn't even have gone there if the prime minister would have spoke to them.
Yeah.
That was the thing. They wanted to have their views at least heard publicly, and he refused. He says he's not going to speak to a fringe group. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And I have a video of almost 100,000 people marching, and that's not a fringe group, especially in Canada. Like we have
It takes a lot to raise us up like that, I think, and so it was getting
Canadians don't normally protest.
Not to that
That's
level.
not in our nature usually. We're like, whatever, And so for that to take place, like they just, and the prime minister picked and chose which protesters and which movements he would speak to. He chose and he was public about it. Like the Black Lives Matter movement, he totally spoke to them and went out. He actually protested with them. He actually marched with Black Lives Matter. So as a prime minister who wants to bring a country together, you cannot pick and choose which citizens, we're all Canadians, right? And then didn't he say that? But then he also singled them out and said, well, these Canadians are against our democracy, which I thought was really odd because I thought that's what the people were fighting for.
Yeah.
But anyways, very divisive prime minister. And I've never seen an F prime minister name ever in my life on people's vehicles.
No.
Never in my life. Like I've never seen, again, the polarization of it.
Yeah.
And I never thought Canadians could get that polarized. We're usually just
we don't really care
with stuff. Exactly.
We just don't care. We're just like, okay. All right.
It said the consultation heard from 12 people. 5 declared they were protest supporters. 6 said they were not. And one person appeared to take, like Dave said, kind of stance explaining that he thought the protest was peaceful, but he had been negatively affected, and his family. So Tuesday's session was the first of 2, which are a total of 45 people are registered to speak about their experiences with the protests, and a second will be held on Wednesday, starting at 11. Earlier this week, Guzzo said her interview would cover different ground than the federal government's Public Order Emergency Commission. So there's another commission going on, too, to kind of unpack what happened there, which is looking into circumstances that led to invoking the Emergencies Act.
Just these decisions, all this money, all this effort, when you could have sat down with these people at the
I know.
start, and it's like this kid thing. You can't get your act together, and so it's costing people a lot of money. But
now it's costing more money and more resources.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
My comment earlier when I said we just don't care, that's not really what I meant. It's kind of like we're just passive.
Yeah, kind of like Julia just said.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
we're kind and passive people,
Yeah.
like Julia just said.
Definitely. And it's true.
I like the word peacemakers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, to me, that's the attitude to have, but it's, we don't want to get into contention if we can avoid it, but, enough's enough at kind of point, like you just can't trample over people's rights to.
But I also know, you're right, but I also know my grandfather, both of my grandfathers fought in the Second World War, and my one grandfather told me time and time again, and I hear this, that the Canadians were some of the most valiant fighters in the Second World War. So, and if you look at our hockey passion for hockey, we're kind of passive aggressive,
Right.
You know, like the gloves come off, man. If it really
It's true.
comes,
And we all
down
love
to
when those gloves come off. We're like, yeah,
exactly.
let it rip.
You know, so Canadians are interesting.
It's true.
By and large, we're very passive, but when it comes to something that's
We're passionate about.
very passionate
Watch
about,
out.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of being passionate about something, and speaking of hockey, the KED is dead.
The KED is dead.
Moment of silence.
Well, I guess for a lot of people, City Council unanimously votes to reject the $215 million project to build a new arena here in this city. We are now, have been for a number of years, the only OHL city that has an OHL team that does not have a new or refurbished arena.
Wow.
The only one in all of Ontario.
I wonder if, because I know Zulich kind of like monopolized on this situation and he had all this property, and I wonder if that wouldn't have happened. I wonder if it was a group of people or someone didn't monopolize on the construction, on the land, if they would have been more open to allowing that to happen. I know they really want to help the downtown, but I personally don't like the downtown. I don't think it's safe. I feel like they need to move a few things there. There's just too many homeless people living there. So personally, I would have liked KEG.
You make a really good point, Nick, and that's the Dario Zulich effect. Now, speaking of that, other cities don't have Dario Zuliches, and the city before Dario, he didn't own the Wolves for all that long. It hasn't been all that long. It's been a few years. And that he brought a National Basketball League basketball team to the city as well. And he owns that. And he bought the Spartans. So he owns the sports teams in town. Could the city have already taken care of this before Dario Zulich came on the scene?
True.
Could we have had a vision for downtown which included a new hockey arena like other cities have done 15, 20 years ago? Before Dario just kind of said, hey, let's take the bull by the horns here. Let's get something done. What's going on? So he was a business person that wanted to really step out there, and he used his own resources. He had property. So if you're going to like hold this back downtown with city property, I own property. So I'm going to get rid of that red tape right there. Okay, now you're looking for partners? Okay, I'll go out and get partners. Went out and got the casino, got the hotel, other partners. You know what I mean? And he was a one-man kind of...
An entrepreneur with a dream.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. He had vision at least. And
So
he had drive
then
to
why
make it
isn't this
happen.
happening? Because we need... because it's a lot of money and they need money from the city. Is that why?
So let's just go through the story, and I think some of the things will give us ammunition to talk about. So Greater Sudbury City Council was unanimous in rejecting administration's proposal for the $215 million Kingsway Entertainment District, known as KED, during the meeting yesterday. Between this and a failed proposal to pare down the project to $150 million. So they did make an attempt to come to the City Council and say, look, if it's too expensive, $250 million, we will, and we shared a video of the Ball representative, the partner with Tesk that was going to build, and he said, look, we can do it. We can make modifications to bring the cost down. $150 million proposal. So the long discussed KED is now effectively dead. Tuesday's meeting was the latest in a series of go, no-go moments of the City Council for the Municipal Arena/Event Center project. But this is the first time since its 2017 approval when a majority of City Council members took a no-go stance. So they originally said yes. It was unanimous. Let's build this thing. That in 2017. So since then, all kinds of things happen. People got in the way of it. There was an environmental kind of lobby. There were some lobbyists that were against the casino coming a little closer to Sudbury and the impacts that would make. And those are all real. Like you can't say, you can't just build something and have it impact the environment and not look at it, because you'll have all kinds of issues afterwards.
No, I know that. But how many subdivisions do we have? Like, I'm just saying, we're constantly building. So now we're building something for all these people that are moving to Sudbury and they don't want it.
Yeah, how can we not? This was my question yesterday. How did we get in this position?
Yeah.
To begin
how are we
with?
allowed to grab 60 acres or 100 acres and build a bunch of houses and we don't care about those animals?
Well, they do.
Well, what do they do? What do they really do with these raccoons? Because now I'm having like a raccoon problem at my house, and then I wanted to trap a raccoon, and someone's like, "I think that's illegal." I'm like, "What? You can't trap your raccoons and get rid of them? No, you can't.
You can just drive over them with your car.
But you're allowed to drive over them with your car. Like, the city is so backwards.
On the side of the road, which I see a lot of them.
Louise Moreau says, downtown is scary in Sudbury. I was a supporter of KEG. Should have been built a long time ago and not just talked about for 10 years, pretty much, and waste money for all of it for nothing. What's crazy is that we're building a super library for how much?
Yeah.
100 million?
So far.
100 million, a super library. Who goes to libraries?
I've been to one, I think 3 years ago or something.
Yeah. I went when I was a kid, when I went to school and I wanted to go do my homework. But now it's a super library that I wouldn't even, probably the one in the valley is going to get shut down.
Yeah, there'll be probably other ones because there's operating costs for all these other ones. So people that
so
go
that's
to the big one will,
like, can we call someone and complain right now? Like, who would we call?
Voting.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
Voting does nothing.
Yeah,
I think these big projects, that's part of what was discussed in the council, I think, yesterday.
Well, who do we call? We call our council?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your counselor of the...
Who's our counselor?
Robert Kerwin.
Robert Kerwin.
He was one of the ones who was for the CAD.
Yes.
He said the proposal for an alternative $150 million project was brought forward by Ward 5 Councillor Robert Kerwin and Ward 11 Councillor Bill Leduc. So the two of them were in favor, including our councillor here, who were alone in supporting it. Their proposal would have allowed the city to proceed into the next phase of the progressive design build process, which would have lasted a few months and cost approximately $3 million.
Wow. Miles says, no monies toward the proposed cost of KEG is private money, which nobody talks about. Why not?
Yeah. So the KED there is private money, but I think the like for the entertainment district itself, but not for the arena possibly, because the arena is more of a city, partnership thing. But I think the casino was coming with their own money.
So yeah,
they were going to build.
You said, I think Dario was putting some.
He was putting some money, donating the land.
That spoke about that. Yeah, I think he had 600 some thousand.
Yeah.
And then the hotel was going to build their own. But yeah, basically for the arena, there was no private money that I know of, even government money, like government, federal funding.
No. But how much private funding is there for the library?
How have we not been
Zero?
Doing fundraising this whole time?
Yeah,
too? Like,
the city, we could have all...
Health Science North lottery thing. Building $500-600 every month.
Fundraise for a new arena.
We could have been fundraising.
Why don't we start it?
Last 10 years.
We'll just take a 10% cut.
Yeah. It'll pay for the show.
Yeah, exactly.
It will pay for the show and I'll show up more often.
We can only afford you once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
I do not get paid, guys. I don't get paid.
Nobody gets paid.
No, this is all volunteer.
It's all volunteer. Volunteer radio station, volunteer setup, all these things we've paid for ourselves, or
all the equipment, everything you see.
Yeah.
The internet bill.
Yeah, it's all paid for because we just have a passion to have a community conversation, and it's called Sudbury News Talk, and that's it. And that's all. I even went to school for 5 years to do this kind of thing.
You spent a lot of money.
That's right, exactly. So it's this is where we go from here. What's the next? What's the next step?
They're going to wait for the election, let the new group of decision makers make some decisions. But I think they're going to go a little bit more into the public. They ask the public what they want, and they didn't do that. They didn't really get. They did having like public meetings, I guess, in certain ways, but not like a referendum or that kind of thing, like a vote on certain proposals. And,
I always thought the city was really bad at informing their people about what's really going on.
Yeah.
And because I never knew what was going on in Sudbury. And I shouldn't have to watch the news. It should just be on social media. Yeah. And I know there's like an article posted, but there's more that people can do to get the information out there. Because how am I getting information? You know, Instagram or through people. I feel like they need to do a little bit more of that. I feel like nothing's ever dead. So KED is not really dead. Nothing's really dead. Everything could just get resurrected.
It's dead, but yeah, it can't.
That's the next headline. Is KED resurrected?
Oh, yeah.
You know.
So yeah, I would like that to happen. And maybe the fact that they are shutting it down, maybe this will create a little bit more of anger. And anger can be good because it moves mountains. It moves things even.
Well, that's the thing. I think the way to look at it is that we learned from this process. Hopefully we can improve certain, parts of the process that wasn't positive. I like with Councillor, I think Cormier said yesterday, there was like these off ramps or, plan, like in the plan, there's a plan that if things don't go according to plan, that you can get off the path, because
that's why they go in phases, right? There's a phase. If this phase shows that it's not viable anymore,
well, it's just time
you can get off.
Yeah, prices are double, lumber, everything
does change
skyrocketing.
Things.
So yeah, you gotta face the facts. You can't just say, okay, we're just gonna go on with blinders here and go forward. And so yeah, I'm proud of them in that way too. Like basically, it's not easy to disappoint a lot of people.
Like it's easy to criticize. It really is.
That's right. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Yeah.
Like it's just basically you can't win, and so I feel for them in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with the fact that this money is like it's just way too much. But like you said, Nick, I think they're not informing us enough. I imagine the information's out there, but what were the benefits? Like, what was this going to make? And really break down the positive parts about it. I'm sure it's released, but the news doesn't seem to share that in articles very often.
And I guess the people who were pro the project also failed at that.
Yeah, like, to me, you can talk about being for it, but yeah, like if you could say, hey, it's going to have this much revenue, it's going to do this
many jobs
in actual numbers, and create. They say it's a lot of jobs and stuff, but it doesn't. I didn't see the numbers that often. I didn't read every article, but like you said, the city could maybe do a better job of informing the citizens, and again,
people like videos, make 2-minute videos.
Yeah,
and go viral.
It's a tough time. Yeah, there's so much coming.
Maybe we should interview Darrow.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's great. And Sudbury Star is saying, the Kingsway Entertainment District could theoretically still occur as a private venture, but the city is no longer comfortable with owning and bankrolling the rink that would form its anchor. And you know what? That actually could be a positive thing.
That's the way it should be, really, in a lot of ways. If it's a good business model and it's going to make money and it's going to do well, $200 million for some of these people, they can get that money.
Now watch this. Why couldn't you even build condos? As part of the event center? Yeah. Like high-priced condos.
Well, that's it.
With a view of the freaking rink from your condo.
Yeah.
That you can actually watch the game.
No, you got to
picture that,
like an outside rink.
Profitable.
No, like in the arena itself.
Oh, inside.
Like you would, those booths you have when those corporate booths or whatever. You can have one whole side that's just condos.
It's true. On
the side, and one of their windows looks towards the arena, and they can see games just in their living room, kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know if that's possible, but I'm just thinking. Why couldn't you build condominiums as part of it that would bring in revenue just by people living there? I'm sure a lot of people would like to live in a place like that, especially if you were a big time gambler.
Yeah.
You got the casino right there. You got your condo.
And mortgage your condo.
Well, or whatever. Yeah, you can go get your monthly rent and just win blackjack table.
I'm going to text Dario and see if we could interview him.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are after him at this point, or maybe even not. Maybe he feels abandoned at this point. Who knows? Well, it's just the day after, so it's pretty darn recent.
You go with the flow. Yeah, to me, that's what I'd tell him. It's just if it's not supported, it's not supported, and you got you win some, you lose some, and I think like you said, it can. Like if it's a good business model, you adjust a few things, it can be profitable. Like need, supply and demand. So if there is a demand for a new arena and people will go to a new arena and it'll be this money-making venture, then if the city doesn't want to do it, jump on it, grab it, take this.
This could be an opportunity. Exactly.
A massive opportunity.
Could be an opportunity. One door closes, another one opens, or several open.
Yeah.
I was even thinking, like you said, the fundraiser idea.
Well, that's ridiculous.
If you got all the people, do you think I would feel I would give $50?
Like
I would.
I'd give at least $50 to if someone said, this is going towards the arena.
Yeah.
Like who wouldn't?
I think these lottery thing, like I said, the HSN thing, and just basically that similar type of thing for that.
Yeah, and there is a casino as part of it, so a lottery idea kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah. You could have an interesting one where you have some kind of wheel or something like that, and you on social media you announce the winner, with this. Make it fun and all this stuff.
The casino's been here for how long, and they've been getting chunks every now and then. So how much is that accumulated to? And maybe that gets, that's a whole
allocated.
Yeah, it should have been maybe most of it allocated to something like this. So it's just, again, I don't have all the facts, but it just seems like it's not, been managed, whatever, as good as it could have been. And we see like about $4 million in waste, which
Well, Miles, it's interesting. Miles says he goes to library once a week.
Very good.
Wow.
Miles is also retired.
No, he's not.
No?
No, he works full time still, but he goes to the Four Corners one.
Okay, well, that one's going to be shut down.
Could be shut down. This is the one thing we talked about, right?
If
they have an amalgamated, well, again, the term amalgamated, but if they build a $100 million library, why would they keep all the other libraries open?
Yeah.
Why would they keep Levac, Chelmsford, Coppercliff, Lively, Coniston, Garson? I don't even know if a lot of these communities have the libraries still there, but hey, if you're a library there, like why would they still pay to keep you open when they have a $100 million edifice downtown? They're probably thinking of amalgamating. I don't know. To me, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, that's again, I'm not totally informed on that, that project. So they may have mentioned that's part of how they're going.
And how are you going to get to the library if you're from Levac?
That's right. Yeah.
You take the bus.
Yeah.
You take the bus to go to a library when you have internet at home. You can look up whatever you're going to find at the library. Now, another thing, if you have a car and you can drive, where are you going to park?
Yeah, there's no parking.
They're taking up the biggest parking space downtown right now to build it.
Right.
Yep.
So now there's going to be Wolves games, which is already a disaster because there's no parking. And now they are going to take away parking to build a library.
We might lose our team. We might lose the Wolves.
You know what? We deserve it.
Wow.
I'm upset right now.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Yeah.
To me, it's like you said, like they haven't been decisive, like way back when they knew they wanted to do it.
It's just so interesting how silly. I don't want to use the word stupid.
Yeah.
But some people are just making really stupid decisions.
Well, again, this is the question I have. How did we end up in this predicament? We
all play a part in it.
The city just went ahead and green lighted. So the Place des Arts was just built, a Francophone arts center, basically. Built, bing, right up, no problem. They just green-lighted outdoor theaters, 2 of them, downtown. The SDC is going through all kinds of interesting things with the Yes Theater Group. The, Junction East was green-lighted at $100 million to go ahead. We don't even know what's happening with the Sudbury Arena at this point.
Yeah.
What's the thinking here? Like, I honestly, so if someone was to, we're trying to understand what's going on in our own city under our own noses. What's the game plan here, guys?
Like, should be the priority? What should be the priority here?
The timing now is they have to get the new, the vote done and the new people in so they can start to discuss what,
Do more people watch hockey or more people go to the library?
That's what I always say. It's
and who's
good,
paying?
better,
They're paying
best,
to go to hockey.
It's good to have a library,
yeah, it
but
creates money and jobs.
Thing?
I know.
I don't think so.
And think of community,
the economy,
and you can rally around a team. Everyone goes to the game. They feel a sense of community. It's entertainment, and it does add to the flavor of the community.
A library is more of an individual.
Individual. Yeah.
Individual.
If
That's
it's a time to tighten
Yeah.
your belt, like right now, one of the counselors was talking about how interest rates are going up. They could go back up to the times in the 80s, like where it was 20%. You know, so we have to be very.
Now this $100 million
dollar
library will be a $215 million library, just the same as what the KED would be.
So I think, yeah,
And if they still go ahead with it, I'm just going to keep shaking my head. But what I'm not shaking my head at is the amazing co-hosts I've had today, and that's Dave. Thanks for being on the show. And Nick,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
when Nick's on,
AJ, for all you're doing for the community. And yeah, I think
my pleasure.
Aww.
this is just one way of us to.
There is a tear in my eye. You can't see it behind the glasses.
No, that's true. Yeah.
You have been pretty consistent, Aaron.
Well,
Yes.
we try.
This is your dream.
We try.
This is your dream.
And,
A dream, like one of.
The dream. No.
And all the people listening and watching too. This is a
Yes,
group effort
that's-
for sure.
yeah.
So thank you very
The
much.
synergy.
Same time, same place tomorrow. You don't know who's going to be on, but you'll know it'll be on for sure. Have a good one every day. Have a good one every day.
Bye.
Everyone, ciao.
Everybody.
Everybody.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.